Now, businesses may have to rethink how they approach their social media strategies if the latest PR disaster to hit Shell is anything to go by. The oil giant has been the target of a fake online PR campaign by environmental activists, the Yes Men. Well, to tell us more, we're joined by James Griffin, a partner at social media intelligence provider SR7. James, this has been quite an extraordinary attack on Shell and very insidious.
Absolutely. I think it's been a real insight into what the future might look like for environmental activists of all sorts who are taking all sorts of issues to corporates around the world.
Take us through exactly what they did.
Well, for around $10,000, the Yes Men, in conjunction with Greenpeace, created a fake Shell Arctic Ready website which parodied Shell's efforts to start drilling in the Arctic region, and it was a very elaborate, well thought out campaign that was followed up with a fake Twitter account, a fake press conference, and obviously the fake website itself, which had actually been sitting out there for about 2 months, and it helped, or it asked people to generate their own ads, which looked distinctly like Shell ads. But the content was in fact very different, and it really highlighted the issues that were facing Shell in drilling in the Arctic region.
Do you think when you look at some of them, some of the campaigns had slogans like "birds are like sponges for oil"? Now, I mean, do you think people would have thought that was a genuine Shell ad?
Well, interestingly, it did take a lot of people by surprise, and going onto the site, it took quite a little while until people actually realised that that they were being had, that this was an impersonation and a hoax. And I think that was a very smart effort by the Yes Men and Greenpeace to essentially con people into taking some time to understanding what they were actually reading, and that was part of it. It actually went as far to trick some online bloggers and journalists into believing that Shell were actually having a social media campaign that they were running being hijacked, when in fact the whole thing itself was a setup. So they, in essence, put a whole other layer on top of what we'd typically seen in the past, where social media campaigns had been hijacked by activists.
And in fact, they then started faking Shell's response as well, so that became very difficult for Shell to manage.
That's right. I mean, Shell in this circumstance are really damned if they do and they're damned if they don't, because they could take the punitive approach of trying to shut the conversation down, you know, perhaps take the legal route with trademark infringement and so on. But Twitter themselves have actually said it's okay to set up a Twitter account that parodies a corporate or parodies someone. So they're treading a very fine line here between you know, brand and IP issues and actually, you know, using it as a parody. So Shell are in a very tough spot, and this has really increased and done a good job for Greenpeace and the Yes Men in highlighting some issues that Shell perhaps didn't want questioned in the first place.
And you make that point, and Greenpeace and Yes Men in particular are doing this as a way of attacking corporations and some of their top people. Do you think it's fair game?
Well, I think it's going to happen anyway, and corporates are waking up around the world. They've recognised that social media was typically a conversation that's been dictated by the marketing department. But surveys have shown by Forbes and Deloitte that corporates around the world see social media as an increasing risk. And when you look at issues like this that have played out over the past couple of weeks, you can certainly understand why.
James, Shell had started to threaten legal action and then they withdrew very quickly. What are the legal implications? Do they have any avenues?
Well, the social media is a very grey area when it comes to the law. It's one of those places where technological advances and innovation have outstripped the ability of the law to really lay down what's acceptable and what is not. So Shell certainly do have some legal recourse that they could pursue, but in the domain of public opinion, whether that's the right thing to do or it'll just generate more conversation about what a brilliant campaign the Yes Men or Greenpeace have run is a question they've got to weigh up.
James, good to talk to you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.